Florida Congressman, member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Brian Mast joins me. Good evening, sir. And of course, people are now, lots of quarters of the world are calling for Israel sort of to stand down or to hold their fire or whatever else. But Israel, I mean, it just got attacked, and they've got to do something.
Absolutely not. This is what the UN and so many across the world try to do to Israel. And let's put this into perspective. Let's juxtapose these two to one another. The Palestinians, which we could say for all intents and purposes should be equated to Arab Nazis, they literally made an attempt to fire 5,000 rockets at nothing but civilians, 5,000 plus rockets at nothing but civilians, then go house by house by house, murdering, literally murdering, execution style, women, children, grandparents, mothers, fathers, you name it, nothing short of mass murder. Went to a music festival, same thing, nothing short of mass murder. And the call is to say, well, listen, we don't want any Palestinian civilians killed. In the face of all of that taking place, what is Israel still doing when they're conducting attacks on what are hostile targets? They're still telling the people in those buildings, listen, if you're a civilian, get out of that building. We're not trying to kill civilians. Here's how much time you have to get out of that building before we level that place, because it is being used for military operations. And what do the Palestinians do? Hamas, these militant entities, if you want to use that word, these terrorist entities, they're putting the civilians in front of them so that they get killed, just like they were trying to kill civilians in Israel.
Congressman, although the International Criminal Court has no teeth, but symbolically speaking, is that these are war crimes. When you go after civilians, when you deliberately bomb hospitals, when you kidnapped children, these are war crimes.
It is nothing short of war crimes. And it's not just bombing hospitals and, again, the indiscriminate rockets. And by the way, these aren't bottle rockets. These aren't fireworks being fired over. These things are the size of Chevy Suburbans with hundreds of pounds of explosives on the end of them being indiscriminately fired into Israel. Again, and then the door-to-door murder that took place. There has to be a reckoning.
Is there any doubt, though? Let me just say, look, the Gaza Strip is a place of squalor. There's a lot of people live in abject poverty there, and so if it's not Iran, where would Hamas get the money for these very expensive weapons?
Well, it is Iran, but it's not just.
Well, that's
Iran
my point. That's my point. That's my point. Is it just Iran?
No, it goes beyond Iran. So let's take Iran as the number one money entity that is supporting this. But then you think of the sophisticated network, very sophisticated network, to take those, and I use this example again, many of these rockets are the length of Suburbans. They're not small, right? So to get those from Iran through maybe Iraq or Syria or Jordan or other places to get them into either the Gaza Strip or the West Bank, respectively. We're focusing on the Gaza Strip right now. Obviously, there have been reports of attacks on the northern border as well, coming out of Syria to a much smaller scale. So, yes, it's a very sophisticated network. And let's bring this back to the hostage situation. Every minute that goes by, that sophisticated network that was used to get weapons into the Gaza Strip is very likely being used to spread people across the Gaza Strip or probably beyond that into other places as well.
So is there a role for Congress right now? And the House is in quite disarray with no speaker in the House. But is there some role in the next day or two or longer for Congress?
I think the biggest problem that America runs into is using the term day or two, because this is not a short-term thing. I think in Israel, you have conversation about life before yesterday and life after yesterday, the way Americans talk about 9/11. People have made that comparison as well.
But they have the world with it. But look, but they have a lot of people with them right now to do something about Hamas. 6 months from now, if this drags out, it's not going to look like it's to handle the situation of yesterday and today. People will then be sort of weary of it. This is a time when Israel does have a lot of people behind them.
There will be maximum pressure, in my opinion, coming out of Israel. But again, we can't limit Israel to saying this has to end in 2 days or 2 weeks or something like that. And this is what the Palestinians do. they'll put up some photos of some dead civilians, even though they just targeted all of these other civilians, hundreds of them, thousands of them, literally. And they'll say, see, we need tears for Palestinians. This is what's happening. The UN will condemn them. No, if America wants to support them and Congress wants to support them, they need to have the attitude today of this, that, listen, when there's 5 or 10,000 Palestinian bodies stacked up, but it's not all of the terrorists yet, that we're still going to stand behind Israel as they continue the fight. That's the support Congress needs to give.
Well, as we talk, the UN Security Council is meeting. They don't have any teeth, I don't think, but it'll be interesting to see what they do say, because it will give us some indication, at least about I don't know what, but it'll be interesting to see what the UN Security Council says. Congressman Brian Mast, thank you, sir.
All the best.